talked about dad's passing, and your greatest pain was actually even not losing a parent, but losing a parent before they see their grandchild, right? And for many people, they live with that guilt.
I know it was hard because when I recall the path that our father had taken us through, and my mom, what she'd gone through and everything, and at the end of the day, my parents never really talked about all the countries we lived in. They talked about the fact that we were a family unit. And my father's health had been up and down for a couple of years. We had to evacuate him a couple of times. And every time we evacuated him, he would smile when he saw my brother's kids. So that was one of those things that you're like, okay, at least this is the contribution to keeping the family alive.
Okay. So, but maybe as we continue with this discussion, we've been seated for long, so we could probably get up. So every time Dad looked at his grandkids from your brothers, he smiled.
He smiled. Didn't
that break your heart?
Well, at that time, it gave me hope. I just thought like, okay, it's good. He's seen some. There's four of us.
You always sacrificed.
Yes, because had I not helped my brothers, they would not have been in the position to have the family they did. Mm-hmm. So I had done my part as the firstborn.
Okay.
So now was me organizing my own life.
Mm. So you buried Dad and then had to go back to work. So you came back to Equatorial Guinea for burial?
I went to Equatorial Guinea for burial, and of course, as the firstborn, I had to do lead the ceremony and everything, and then went back to West Africa for my work at the UN.
Was life still the same?
No, it wasn't.
Tell us about your experience. You're back to work, and in this whole discussion of you've lost a dad, you're struggling to get a child, your relationship. It's a marriage, actually. You'd gotten engaged, right?
Yes, it was very, very stressful at the time. And but I have to say that the tensions among not being able to conceive at that time, at least the family, they took it down.
Didn't that pressure affect your work?
It did. It affected my work a lot. And at that time, I was spending more time in church. I got into more sports. I was trying to get into keep myself busy. I remember as a child, I had liked to do music, so I got back into playing the piano, just trying to keep a positive aura and development around as I went through. But it was very tough. But also I got a lot of support and solidarity and condolence messages, even from people I couldn't even imagine. So that really helped, and everyone kept saying, you have to keep the legacy alive. Okay. So, yeah.
Did mom take it in easily? Because for moms, it's the hardest thing.
Yeah, my mom, it was very tough. And so we actually took her out for a bit, and we agreed from then that we are four, each one of us has to have her for a while. That's when we started with our thing.
Oh, rotating.
One of us, we were rotating. One of us
was she okay with that? Because parents sometimes are like, I want to stay home. I don't want to keep moving.
She always said that, but what we would do is we would show up and say, we're just taking you out for a few days, and a few weeks later, she's still with us.
And then you stay with her. You hold her at ransom. Okay. But being a nurse, did she understand the medical condition? And could she be the one who could have strengthened you the more?
No, absolutely. I believe that part of the reason I was able to so quickly come to terms with the science is because my mom was part of the scientific explanation. So she could explain to me, this is what's going on and whatever, so we need to figure out how to adjust to this.
Okay. So let's talk about the wave and just pass it. What happened after the years went by?
Yeah, so, refocused back on career, really focused on my brothers and the kids. Got into a relationship knowing that I can't conceive. And
so did you disclose? This is a second relationship.
I did. I said, this is what
from onset.
Onset.
Was that easy? Because you are falling in love again.
I know, but otherwise, what happens if you don't say it now and then later they ask? Oh. It's going to look like a betrayal.
Oh, okay.
So up front, this is what it is.
So did your hubby then, your next lover, did they accept it?
They did. They said, well, God is the one who decides things. And
wow.
So that actually helped. So had a very good relationship, did a lot of good work. And at that time, Cote d'Ivoire was in a lot of trouble. So we had this thing from the UN where when you're working in an unstable environment, you get to go out for frequent breaks. So I was due to go out for one of my rest and recuperation breaks. I wasn't feeling too well. Thought it was malaria. Went to do a test and told me I was pregnant. And
That was over how long?
I was so upset. I said, you must have misplaced my test. Look for my name.
You were upset?
Yes, because I thought they had given me somebody else's results.
And it felt like a mockery to you.
Yeah, like, why are you, with what I'm going through? No, not to me. Don't do that. And
That
then
was
they
after how
went
long?
and came back.
How long after getting you, after dating, when you disclosed that I can't have, so we can relate back?
About a year. And then the lady, nurse came back and this is
Your results. Yes.
And I remember being astonished and being like, oh my God, this can't be happening. And then, so of course, immediately trying to see a doctor to check, telling my partner, telling my mom, nobody in the family believing it because they've all heard from the doctor that it's not possible. And then the doctor saying that, yes, I was pregnant, but it was a high-risk pregnancy, so I had to take special care. And that was my miracle boy. And he was born premature.
About how old?
Very, very, very
How many
premature,
weeks?
27.
Ooh.
And today
Ooh.
he's 15. He's
And
taller
when you
than
look at
me.
him, very healthy, you can't imagine.
Absolutely.
What was life looking after a premature? Because I know it's really hard. And 27 weeks, that is really like very tiny.
Let me tell you something. My son was born with a commitment to live. This child went from fitting in my hand to like this. He grew so fast every single week. That's why he's a miracle child from inception to growth to today. They kept saying he can't make it because of this, and he would. He can't make it because of that, and he would. He went from breast milk to food in 3 months. It was just astonishing. And God bless, my mom was with me in New York, taking care of him and everything. And it was just, there was nothing stopping that child. He was preemie, but he was big because they did a lung test before he was born. He was ready to take on the world. Okay. And so I had him. I struggled with work because you have to go back so early, and he was a preemie. And whenever I could, I would travel with him. And when I couldn't, I wouldn't. But I remember I was notorious for showing up in workshops in Africa with my stroller and my backpack. Okay. And he grew up knowing that. So by the time he was a few years old, he would be like, "Mommy, where are we going? What's the language? You know where it is." So he knew this is part of Mommy's work.
You had already exposed him
yes.
to different languages.
Yes, yes. He started traveling. He must have been like 6 months.
So maybe before we do take a break, looking at the experience you went through as a working mother and a mother who had given birth to a premature baby, what advice would you give to the women out there? Because some, when they give birth to prematures, they feel like, I should just let the baby die. I shouldn't suffer that much.
Every life is a life, and we have no right to determine what a life should be like. God gives you a life, you don't know what is in it. I believe in nurturing whatever you got, so I nurtured him. Here he is today. I believe that it's important to have support. I believe the fact that my mother came and stayed with me for 3 months was unparalleled in terms of support, just the knowledge that she brings and the calmness. I have one of my best friends, she also came and stayed with me, for that period. So have a very close-knit group that you really believe in, because it's a very harsh moment, it's a very stressful moment, and it's important to have people who are positive and who are going to be there to reassure you. Okay.
Well, and at this point in time, we want to be taking a very short break. In our last segment of this particular episode with Rosa Malango, I am really, really inspired. We will want to be summing it all up. How does she become a UN resident coordinator? How long has she even worked with the UN? How many years did it take? Because this has been a lengthy story, and I feel like it was a decade and more and more and more years. When we do return, we'll continue with the story.